Hello YouTube, how you guys doing tonight? Tonight on the bench we have a amplifier that's out of a Harman Kardon HK670 twin powered receiver. The problem I'm having is A and B channel. The right channel for A and B is out. A standing for front speakers, B standing for rear speakers. Now, all the other problem I'm having is the right channel. Same channel that's out. It's reading the voltage of 32 volts on the speaker terminal. Both of them, A and B. On the right channel only. So, I took the amp apart, took the receiver apart, desoldered. Desoldered all the wires. I left a little bit, left the color, cut the wires off the ends there. That way I could leave the color on, that which way you know which way to go back. And I took the whole thing apart on the bench here. First thing you want to do, okay, here's the big heat sink right here. I wrote bad amp on it because this is a bad amp. Now, this thing I think is called the heat sink diode. It's something related to heat, not sure the name though. But that thing will break if you do not, if you take it off from there. What I do is I desolder it from the board and I leave that end right there on the heat sink. Don't even bother with it. That way, the only thing you gotta do is move the wires back in the correct way, mark them where you know which way to go, and move the whole thing to the side. That's the best thing you could do for it. Okay. Went to these transistors, tested them. They tested out good. Only suspicious thing I noticed was they had no micas underneath of it. Just heatsink compound. That's the only thing they had on them. So, other than that, I flipped it over like this. There's the other side of the board. I went down the row here. I tested out that transistor, these three transistors, that transistor, that transistor, that transistor, that transistor, that transistor, that transistor, that one, and that one. Right there. These two. There's four of them. Right there. Okay. They all tested good. So, what I did next, I started testing electrolytic capacitors because electrolytic capacitors leak over time. Now, this is a 220 microfarad at 10 volts. That was bad. I replaced that. What I took out was 85C. I replaced it with 85C. You can do that. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. So then I went to this one. Check that one. That one tested great. Went to these two. Check them. They're different values, by the way. Tested them. They were no good, so I put these two new ones in. So, got that out of the way. Went back and tested it. Still 32 volts. So, and what I did that's, these two are power right here. That's minus, that's plus. So, and it's a voltage of 42 volts. So it's supposed to be on this amplifier. So, I tested it, put a probe there, the power supply, brung it up, tested it, make sure to see if the voltage was still on the output. This is the output. Input's right here. This is the output. This and this. Okay? So, still had it. So I took it all back down again. Then, I went for diodes. I started checking those. I started checking them. I checked that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. There's a couple of them around here. Maybe not. That looks like that's it for the diodes. Checked all them. They tested out good. So then I started to testing resistors, and I noticed right away that Let me get a flashlight. Major malfunction. Here, look at this stuff. These, first off, them ceramic things right there were underneath of it. And the other leads of resistors, both of them, were touching the heat sink. So, what does that do? That's an instant short. So, I started testing them too. That's one, I still got to replace that one. That one's bad too. It started not giving correct resistance. No resistance at all, matter of fact. So, I pulled this one out. Pulled this one out right there. Get a pointer for you guys. That one right there. I decided it and took that out, which is the old one. The old one is right there. Okay, so now what's weird is I checked the schematic. I checked the service manual. There's not a darn thing in here about these resistors. It just says one little tiny thing. It doesn't show where the resistors are. It doesn't show. It shows what the resistors are, but it does not show the correct resistance. What resistance? I want to know. That's what I said to myself. I said, okay, I want to know what resistance are these supposed to be. So that way, it'd be easier. I could just go right to my parts drawer, pull it out, pop the new one in, put a little heat shrink on the other end there so it doesn't happen again, which the factory should have done, but they didn't. And it wasn't in the schematic at all. It wasn't in the service manual. So I went to my resistor calculator chart, the little thing you know, spin the different colors. You got to get the first color, the second color, the third band, and got the correct one. Now this one's a little cooked, so I managed to it. Got the right one. Put the heat shrink back on there. So did that. Resoldered it back in. Still voltage, but it was a little lower. It was about 28 volts. So the next plan is to pull this guy out right here. Pull this guy, pull that guy, because you can probably see that. Looks like it's a little bit cooked there in the center, as far as I'm mistaken. Looks like it got a little hot. So that's the plan with this, is to pull the resistors out, check them, get the correct value, and put it back in. That should do the trick. If not, I got some more troubleshooting to do here. So, just wanted to post a little video of me doing this. Now, another thing too I'm going to do is I'm going to check these. Check the micas. What a mica is a little piece of film. Like a little plastic film or whatever it is. It's not plastic though, but it's a piece of little clear film. It goes between here, goes between the transistor, goes between the heatsink. You put heatsink compound on both sides, and that's what they're for. So I'm gonna check and see if they're still good, because they degrade over time because of the heat. They disintegrate, they fall apart. You know, you try to pull the old ones up, they'll break apart in a million pieces. They'll bend, they'll pull, you know, all types of stuff. So that's my little note on that. Now, I'm going to do all that. Like I said, I'm going to check everything out. And I went around back here. I started checking for cold solder joints, cracked circuit boards, because I bought this used. And it was working for 2 days that I had it. Third day it went out. That's when I noticed. Lucky I didn't fry a speaker. I didn't notice the voltage right away. But lucky I had designed a thing that for speakers it'll pop a fuse instead. So checked all that right there. Everything looks good on the board. And this is supposed to be here. That's in the actual schematic. So yeah, like I said, I marked the top of them transistors, which way they're supposed to go. They're supposed to sit the correct way, because if not, you can blow it out. So everything tested out good. These transistors tested out good. It's got to find out what about the mica. and all that. So that's my little project here. So that's pretty much it. We'll be coming back out with an update video once this gets done. Once I find out what's going on. So, alright guys. I appreciate y'all subscribing. I appreciate y'all liking. I really appreciate it. I always had a passion for YouTube. Always had a passion for doing this, and now I'm starting to get back around to it. Starting to get used to it. I like it. And my purpose on this channel is to create a great following and produce good quality content the best that I can. And every one of you that subscribe and like, I appreciate y'all dearly. I really do. Mean that. And appreciate the support. Always will. This YouTube stuff will never get to my head. And it will always be about the subscribers and viewers. That's my goal here. It's been my goal all along. And I want to get back to it best that I can. So please, don't forget to like, subscribe. And like I always say, become a part of Tyler Electronics Repair. I really appreciate it. So until next time, I will see you next time. Thanks so much.